Ever seen a movie where someone vanishes into thin air, only to reappear months or even years later, completely changed, with no idea who they are or where they've been? Sounds like something straight out of Hollywood, right? Well, what if I told you these stories aren't just fiction? They happen in real life, and they're way weirder than anything a screenwriter could dream up. We're about to dive into the most baffling, mind-bending cases of people who came back different. You won't believe number one. What's up, everybody? It's your Uncle Clay from Talk Yo Clay, and today we're exploring the top 10 most bizarre cases of people who returned changed with no memory. These are the stories that defy explanation, the real-life mysteries that keep investigators and families guessing. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. Let's kick things off with our number 10 spot, the woman who woke up in the wrong reality. Imagine this. A woman from Spain vanishes without a trace. When she finally reappears, she's in a completely different European country. But here's the kicker. To her, nothing is right. The street signs are slightly off. Her job isn't the one she remembers, and even the people she knows feel like strangers. She insists she's woken up in a parallel universe, a place that's almost identical to her own, but just wrong. And the period she was missing, a complete and total blank. It's like she stepped through a crack in reality. Did she have a psychotic break, or did she somehow slip into a different dimension? The mystery remains unsolved. Coming in at number 9, we have the hiker who met his double. A man goes for a routine hike on a familiar trail and simply disappears. Search parties are sent out, but they find nothing. Days later, he stumbles out of the woods, disoriented but physically fine. His story is what's truly unsettling. He claims that while hiking, he saw an exact copy of himself, his doppelganger, walking on the trail just ahead of him. He tried to call out, but the figure never turned around. After that, his memory is a complete void until he woke up, walking out of the forest. He lost days of his life with no explanation other than a chilling encounter with his own double. Was it a hallucination, a trick of the light, or something far more paranormal? For our number 8 spot, we travel back to 19th century France for a truly classic head-scratcher, The Boy Who Returned, speaking a foreign language. A young boy vanishes from his village, causing widespread panic. 2 weeks later, he's found safe and sound. But there's a problem. He's now fluent in ancient Greek, a language he had absolutely no exposure to or knowledge of before he disappeared. When his frantic parents asked him where he'd been, he couldn't remember a single thing about the missing 2 weeks. It was as if that time had been erased and replaced with the knowledge of a dead language. How does a child acquire a complex, ancient language in just 14 days without any memory of learning it? It's a case that has stumped historians and linguists for over a century. Now, for number 7, a case that's a little different but no less terrifying. Naomi Jacobs, the woman who experienced a benign amnesia return. One morning in the UK, Naomi woke up and looked in the mirror. She didn't see the 32-year-old mother she was. Instead, she was convinced she was 15 years old, getting ready for school. 17 years of her life, getting married, having a son, building a career, were just gone. She didn't recognize her own home or her own child. The world of smartphones and modern technology was completely alien to her. Unlike the others on our list, her identity was intact. She knew who she was, but her memory had rebooted to her teenage self. It's a chilling reminder of how fragile our own sense of time and self can be. At number 6, we have the poignant story of Celestine Gandy Thompson. Celestine left her home in the USA as a teenager and for decades lived a life completely disconnected from her past. The strange part is that she had a massive hole in her memory regarding her entire childhood and family. It wasn't that she didn't want to remember, she simply couldn't. Years later, through a series of fortunate events, she was reconnected with her biological family. But even when faced with old photos and loving relatives, those early memories remained a fog. It's a heartbreaking example of how a person can lose a huge chunk of their own life story, leaving a permanent gap that can never be filled. Halfway through our list at number 5 is the international mystery of Michael Boatwright, also known as Johan. In 2013, an American man was found unconscious in a motel room in Palm Springs, California. When he woke up, he had no idea who he was. He had no memory of his past, his family, or even his own name. Stranger still, he could only speak Swedish. The man, who the authorities nicknamed Johan, insisted he was from Sweden. It took months of international searching before he was finally identified as Michael Boatwright, a U.S. Navy veteran from Florida. He was eventually sent to Sweden, a country he felt was his home. But his memory of his American life never returned. He was a man literally trapped between two identities, with a past he couldn't access. Now for number 4, the woman who forgot her family. This case from Brazil is the stuff of nightmares for any spouse or parent. A woman goes out for a routine shopping trip and never comes home. Her family is devastated, searching for a year with no leads. Then she reappears hundreds of miles away. But when her husband finds her, she looks at him like he's a total stranger. She claims to be a different person, with a different name and a different life. She has absolutely no memory of being a wife or a mother. To her, her loving family was just a group of people making up a crazy story. Her past life was completely erased, replaced by a new, fabricated identity that she believed with all her heart. Entering our top 3, we have the case of Jack Duffey, or Gerald Smith. In 1941, a 13-year-old boy was found wandering on a bicycle in Illinois. He was disoriented and had complete amnesia. He couldn't remember his name, his parents, or where he came from. With no leads, the boy was given a new name, Jack Duffey, and was adopted by a loving family. He grew up, got married, and lived a full life as Jack. But the mystery of his past always haunted him. Decades later, with the help of a newspaper, he launched a search for his original identity. The search eventually led him to discover his birth name might have been Gerald Smith. But the full story of who he was and how he ended up on that bike remained locked away in his mind forever. Our runner-up at number 2 is the 30-year mystery of Edgar Latulip. In 1986, Edgar, a man with developmental disabilities, walked away from his group home in Ontario, Canada, and vanished. He was presumed dead for decades. Then, in 2016, a man living under a different name in a nearby city had a flash of memory. He suddenly remembered his real name was Edgar Latulip. After living for 30 years with no memory of his past, a single spark brought his old identity flooding back. He had suffered a head injury shortly after leaving the home, which likely caused the prolonged amnesia. For 30 years, he was a ghost, a missing person living a new life just a short drive away from where he started, completely unaware of the family that never stopped looking for him. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The number 1 most baffling case of someone returning, changed with no memory, Stephen Kubacki. In 1978, Stephen, a college student, went cross-country skiing near Lake Michigan and disappeared. The only things found were his skis and his footprints leading to the edge of the frozen lake. He was declared dead. Then, 15 months later, he woke up on a lawn in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, over 700 miles away. He was wearing clothes that weren't his, carrying a backpack full of items he didn't recognize, and had a strange map with markings on it. He had no idea how he got there or what had happened during the missing 15 months. His last memory was of being near the lake. He lost over a year of his life, an inexplicable journey across the country that remains a total blank. Was it abduction? A fugue state? We may never know, making Stephen Kubaki's story the ultimate real-life mystery. And there you have it, 10 people who vanished and returned as strangers, even to themselves. These stories show us just how mysterious the human mind can be. What do you think happened in these cases? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out with your Uncle Clay. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Talk Yo Clay, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the unexplained. We'll see you in the next one.